Hi everyone, Hirsch Sai here again, and I guess who else would it be? But yeah, still here in Auckland, and still 21st of March, 2024, and onto a very, very interesting topic today for this talk video, and certainly something that I guess we all never really talk about much, yet, and we certainly never really even think about it that much or give much further thought to it, but yet we experience it every night. And no, I'm not talking about that. Not talking about that either. But no, neither of those two things. But what it is dreaming, and there are different theories on dreams. I've heard some scientists saying that it's just a result of your brain processing everything at night as you sleep, because your brain works 24 hours a day and it needs to process through so much every night, and of course rest and recuperate the body. But then other scientists and many other people have said that no, dreams are actually very special. They contain hidden messages that basically your subconscious is trying to tell you. Sometimes even things that your subconscious is trying to predict or even warn you about, and your subconscious knows literally everything about you in your life, because everything you've experienced, everything you've seen, everything you've experienced, and everything you've read or touched, anything has all been recorded perfectly in your subconscious, believe it or not. Memories that you would consider long gone, or that you don't even remember, you won't even realize that it's still there, are there, and obviously you don't have access to all of this all at once, because it would just be too much for you, to be too overwhelming. And that's why, of course, you use your conscious mind while you're awake, and you only have access to a certain amount of information, basically what you need, what is most important. And then again, of course, your subconscious does so much even while you're awake. It's a bit like that other video I had earlier about, the one called I Did Not Know That, mentioning all those really interesting things that many of us don't even realize. And one was about how it's amazing how much our subconscious does each and every day, just as we go about things, how much it does for us. And normally we're thinking of something else completely different, while the subconscious is doing what we're actually doing. Things like, I think, like I said in that video, making a cup of tea, or getting yourself ready, or getting dressed, or taking a shower, brushing your teeth, any one of those things, which we do all the time, which is really quite mundane. But as we do, we don't really think about it. We tend to be thinking about something else, as our subconscious takes care of it for us. So, but coming back to dreams can really be amazing, and there have been people who have used them, for their own benefit, for the good. From my reading, Mozart, the famous composer of the late 1700s, the famous classical composer in which that movie Amadeus of 1984 is based on. Mozart used dreams to his advantage, and I think it was Einstein as well, Albert Einstein, who did the same. Because I remember reading about a dream he had when he was sliding, I think, down a mountain or sliding down a hill, and he realized he was approaching the speed of light. And it really helped him with his with developing the scientific theories. So dreams can be very helpful, and we've all experienced what they call deja vu, which I think in French means already seen or seen again. And deja vu is basically something where you experience something, you're like, oh my god, I swear to God, that happened before, or I've experienced that before. And sometimes it's you've experienced it in a dream, like you dream something, and then it happens the next day, or maybe a few days later, or a bit later. But you experienced it before, and yet it's happening for the first time in your life. And usually it's just your subconscious putting things together, and trying to give you some insight into the future, or perhaps trying to help you with your life, or perhaps trying to warn you about something, like I said. Sometimes even trying to give you an answer to some things you're contemplating. Should I do this, or should I do that? um, I still remember to this day one really interesting experience of deja vu I had when I was, I think, when I was about 13, back in secondary school. And I just remember like standing at the front of the class, and looking at all the desks and all the boys who were sitting at them, and just how they had their pencil cases and exercise books arranged in front of them. And I remember just looking at that and thinking, oh my god, I know I've seen that exact sight before. And I wonder, is it because my subconscious, which is noticed and taken in everything. Notice where everyone sits in that particular classroom and how they sit and how they arrange all their stationery and exercise books in front of them, exactly how they arrange it. And then did my subconscious put that together? So I would know exactly what it would look like if I was standing in front of the class and looking at it. Maybe it did. Who knows? Um, One of my close friends said he had certainly a way, way more interesting and less boring experience than that one. But he definitely probably one worth telling you and putting here on YouTube. But he had a very interesting experience, and he was a child where he had a dream about going to see a house that he had never seen before, and going inside the house and seeing what it was like inside, the layout and all that. And then a bit later on, he did go and see a new house, and it was exactly that house. And it's amazing to think but he's never seen it before, but yet he dreamt of seeing the house first. So when he really saw it truly for the first time, it was actually in some ways for the second time. And again, people have also developed theories on that. Is it perhaps a spirit communicating with you and giving you that insight? Is it something perhaps even from a past life? Maybe you did see that house in a past life. Or as it could be perhaps maybe your mother even saw it, or a relative, an old relative saw it, and somehow that memory was then passed onto you. Even if it was, you might wonder why, but who knows? Certainly a lot of mystery in the world, but yeah, dreams are certainly something that are amazing, and yet we experience them every night. I think most of us just really forget about them in just the few minutes after waking up, and it's amazing how real they are or how real they feel. We swear to God we're in the real world doing something, and whether it was a good or a bad dream, it just feels so realistic. And then we wake up and it's like, oh, it's just a dream. Um, but no, but what I wanted to get at in this video was, yeah, basically to tell, to say all that, and just to think, something we experience every single day or every night, and we probably hardly ever talk about, especially as adults, I think, and yet, you know, um, we experience it every night, and yeah, we don't really pay much attention to it at all. And to think how much power it can have, you've heard of people, tapping into their subconscious mind and using it for their benefit, especially when it takes a record of everything they've experienced. Um, I remember I used to be much more interested in dreams when I was young, when I was about sort of 11, 12, and I remember actually reading a book about it that came out at the same time. And still actually have it to this day. Yes, it is a book for children, but I always found it as a very, very interesting book. Wake Up to Your Dreams by Sandra Collier, and it came out in 1996 when I was just 11, and I bought it that same year, and I still have it to this day. Even wrote my name in it. I said, "There's my name written by an 11-year-old me." Hope that's neat. But no, I remember I read the book so many times, and at one point I was actually making sure that I read it twice a year, in January and in June, because I wanted to, keep going over it and making it very solid in my mind. But it talks a lot about dreams, like the things I've said and how much they mean, and what how many people have used them to their advantage. And it was saying the book also talks about how important dreams are. They really are trying to give you a message, or trying to help you solve a problem, or warn you about something, or just trying to help you in some way. And then, of course, how you can use them to your benefit. Um, I remember when I was young, again, that age, and I actually still remember, I never really try it now, to be honest, but I remember like how I'd love to be able to dream whatever I want to dream, and I figured out how to do it. I'll just think about it so much, whatever experience or whatever it is I want to dream. I would think about it so much as just before I fell asleep, and even continued thinking about it as I drifted off to sleep. And then basically I would keep thinking about it and pretty much fall asleep, and then those thoughts would turn into the dream. Much easier said than done, but I remember doing that and sort of being able to do it. Well, I'll certainly say much more easily than I probably could today. But no, I remember doing that, and it was amazing. I'm sure a lot of people would love to, dream whatever they wanted to dream. Or another thing they call it is lucid dreaming, when you can basically dream and you actually know that you're in a dream, as you dream it. So, it might seem real, it might seem like a normal day going about your things, but you actually know for a fact that it's a dream. So imagine that, it'll be a bit like in virtual reality, and you can sort of do whatever you want if you like. And I remember actually a bit later on in life buying a book on that. And it's actually a really good book, A Field Guide to Lucid Dreaming. To be completely honest with you, I actually sort of gave up on it after a while, because it was a very in-depth book, and I think it's a really good help for it, a good way to help with that. But I just didn't want to make a mistake. Because I remember reading the book and it was saying, okay, right now, look around you, just make sure you're not in a dream right now, because now feels real, but it could be a dream, right? So right now, make sure you're not in a dream. And, I didn't want to keep doing that all the time and I didn't want to make any mistakes. But I certainly found it's a very, very interesting book. And again, if you were able to master it, oh my God, imagine what you could achieve for yourself. Um, but going back to sort of the more basic thing about dreams, and the first book I read on dreams multiple times, Wake Up to Your Dreams by Sandra Collier, which came out in 1996. Going back to that, yeah, one method I remember very clearly about how to interpret dreams. If dreams do have a meaning or are trying to help you or warn you about something. I remember there was a very clear method on doing that, and I remember how Sandra, in that book, talked about that you good to, if you can make the effort, to have a what you called a dream journal, like a diary where you actually write down the basic day's events. I guess it doubles up as a normal diary as well. You write down the day's events and how you've been feeling, and of course, when you write down the dream you had, and straight after you wake up, so you don't forget it. And you write it sort of in the present tense, if you know what I mean. So it has that much more meaning. Saying, don't say like, oh yes, I was there and I walked out, just having a look. I can see my garage. I walked out to the garage and I opened it, and then my car wasn't there, instead it was something else. But saying that in the present tense, think of it as in the present tense. I'm outside. I'm now walking to my garage. I'm opening it right now, and what do I see? Not the car, but something else. So it's just a way to make it sort of more meaningful, I guess. But Sandra spoke about keeping that sort of dream journal with the day's events, how you've been feeling, and then, of course, writing down the dream you had and how you interpret it, and even the symbolism it has, and even what sort of action you're going to take, moving forward with what you've learned from that dream. And basically to interpret dreams, and I still do this at times, especially when I have a dream which really, which I find very unique, or which even shakes me up a bit, is that one way to interpret what your dream is trying to tell you, or the meaning of that dream, is think about a wordplay. So, for example, if you have a dream that, say, you're driving down the motorway, you're stuck in traffic, and all the cars are just passing you, and yet you're stuck in traffic, you're moving forward, but still everyone else is passing you. Think of a wordplay. Maybe if the dream is trying to say, oh, in your life, you feel that everyone is passing you by, that you are moving forward like you were in the dream, but not fast enough. You are falling behind. Everyone else is passing you by. Everyone else is overtaking you, and you might apply that to maybe your current job or occupation. But you kind of see where that wordplay is coming from. So that's one way to interpret dreams. Think of a wordplay. If you felt that how you're feeling in the dream, or even what is happening to you in the dream, translate that into a wordplay and see how it applies to your everyday life. Because maybe that dream has meaning, or maybe it's trying to tell you something very important. Another way to interpret dreams is through symbolism. And it's different to different people. Perhaps drive in that same dream of when you're on the motorway and everyone else is passing you by. Maybe your car, or the car in the dream, represents something. Say it could be your current vehicle that you used to move forward with. If it's too slow, if everyone's passing me by, maybe it means my current vehicle is not, the best one. It's not me. It's my current vehicle. And again, you could translate that into real life. Doesn't mean that my current business vehicle, if you like, or my investment vehicle, or my work vehicle is not the right one. Maybe that's what I need to change, not me. So I guess you come to a similar conclusion than before. Everyone's passing you by, but maybe in a bit more specifically that you need to change your vehicle for moving forward. Not really you, but your vehicle. So maybe you need to move to a different job, or maybe a job in a different location, or maybe a different role within the same company, within the same firm. So you sort of see where that's getting at. And yes, it can be very hard to interpret. And of course, there's been some times when I've been utterly stumped. I just can't, even begin to think what a certain dream, meant. And then I'd give up on it. But for those of you out there who are interested in dreams and just sort of want to know that much more about them, if you ever do have a dream which really stood out, think about, go through it again in your mind in the present tense. Think about a wordplay and then try to, translate it into a wordplay. Sorry, and then use that to reflect on your real life. Is it, does it have any resemblance, to anything in your real life, and perhaps maybe that's the message it's trying to convey to you, trying to tell you, and then try to think of symbols. Sometimes, if I remember quickly reading in that book, Wake Up to Your Dreams by Sandra Collier, if I remember correctly, it was saying that your mind, has certain symbols in dreams, and it remembers those, and the same symbols can even pop up later on in other dreams. So even try to take account of that. And then, of course, if you're very committed, hey, you can go keep a dream journal like what she suggests. It doubles up as a diary, so don't forget that. And you can even look into it deeper, really try to figure your dreams out if you have the time for it, if you can be bothered. I guess, to be completely honest, I can't really, but if you can, if you want to, if you're interested in it, why not? And of course, you can read more about dreams, other books about dreams, and then of course even look at lucid dreaming. And I know there's also dream dictionaries as well, where actually you simply look up what happened to you in a dream or what you experienced, and the dream dictionary will tell you basically what it means. Of course, the dream dictionary, you'll have different dream dictionaries, and they'll be quite generic. Obviously not tailor made for you, but quite generic. So keep that in mind. But hey, still, it can help. But no, it's just something I thought I'd talk about. Something I've always wanted to talk about, and something that's always been in my mind. And like I said, something that I still sometimes use to this day in terms of to interpret any dreams I have that really stand out. And it does help here and there. It really does. So yeah, no, that's really it about dreams, and so yeah, something for you all to think about. And otherwise, cool. Thank you. Take care. Good night. Sweet dreams.